Hi everybody, I wanted to get the second part of the video out, or the second part of the class out, where I show you how to do the decrease. I know that you've all been working diligently on your hats, and so I wanted to show you how to get this nice decrease going on your hats so you get the cool star pattern. So I'm doing that today. I think the timing is perfect because I've clearly gotten to a point where I've got quarantine hair happening, and so now I've got this nice finished hat, and I can just cover it right up, which is perfect for all my Zoom meetings. So if you're ready, I will just jump right on in. Hi there. I am going to show you how to do a decrease, and I've set out some stuff here, all the things that you're going to need to know to do a decrease. Of course, you're going to need your project. You're going to need your pattern. This is the pattern that we've been working on. You're going to need your yarn needle. You know, that yarn needle that we got ages and ages ago. You're going to need that. You are going to need your double point needles that came in your kit. You are going to possibly need a crochet hook. If you've got one, then it's not going to hurt. If you don't have one, don't worry too much about it. You are going to need scissors, because we are finally going to get to that point where we get to cut the thread. Woohoo! You are not going to need that, so don't worry about that. You are going to need your stitch marker, which we gave to you in the first class there, or if you have been following along from home, hopefully you've just made one or you have one. So keep that handy. And so let's get started. So let's take a look at our pattern. We are doing the quick stocking hat. You can find this pattern on Ravelry relatively easily. So far we've gotten through all of our instructions, which were to cast on, and then according to whichever size we were interested in, small, medium, or large. We placed our marker at the beginning of our round and joined, and then we began to knit in the round. We did our ribbing, which was our knit 2, purl 2, and then we started just doing a knit stitch for a designated period of time. So after we've done our knit stitch, we are ready to begin our decrease, and that is where this begins. So now it's laid out fairly, if you're familiar with knitting pattern terms, I'm going to hold that in the sun just a little bit. There we go. So if you're familiar with knitting patterns, then this is probably fairly straightforward to you. If you're not, then I'm going to go over it with you, okay? So round 1, right, we're going to start right at that marker that we placed. We're going to knit 6, and then what we're going to do is this K2 TOG is knit 2 together. That's what that means. And then the little asterisks at the beginning and the end mean that we're going to just keep doing that for the entire round. So we're going to knit 6, then knit 2 stitches together, and then we're going to knit 6 more, and then knit 2 stitches together, and we're going to keep doing that all the way around until we reach that marker again. And then we're going to stop, and then we're just going to knit. The next round, round 2, we just knit, okay? And then round 3, we'll do another decrease round. And this time, instead of knitting 6, we knit 5. So you can see how that would eventually decrease the size of the opening on the hat, because we're going to knit 5 and then 2 together, then we're going to knit 4 and then 2 together, and then 3 and then 2 together, etc., etc. You see here on round 4 that we switched to our double point needles. So I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, and but first let's go over this knit 2 together stitch, okay? We've got 6 stitches, from our marker. This is my marker right over here. And we've got 6 stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 of these stitches. So there's 1 and 2. I'm going to, just like I'm knitting 1 stitch, but instead I'm going to take 2 of them. And I'm going to bring my yarn around, bring it through. There you go. And then you just keep on going. So it's fairly straightforward. And then you knit 6 more stitches and do it again. Okay, so I have gotten to my stitch 4, stitch 2 together row. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch 4 and stitch 2 together all the way around. It is my preferred method to move to double points on a knit row, so not on a decrease row. So I'm going to go ahead and do my decrease row. All right, so I'm done with my knit 4, knit 2 together row. I am going to take my marker off because I'm not gonna need that when I'm on double points. And I'm going to take the double points out of the package. Come on, guys. Oh, wow. There we go. I'm pretty sure that everyone in the class, I gave you 4 double points. Typically, there are 5 in a package, so if you've bought double points for this class, then you probably got 5 in the package. You're only really going to need 4. So the hat will sit on 3, and then you'll have 1 to knit with. So we're going to start with our first one. So this is the beginning of my row, right? My marker was just here. And this is a knit row, so that's all we're going to do is we're just going to knit. And we're going to go into the bottom of this stitch just like we were going to knit it. Okay. And it can get a little confusing, so you might want to slow this part of the video down. But basically, we're just knitting. But instead of using the second half of our circular needle, we are knitting those stitches right onto our double point. And I don't see the need to count typically. I didn't count the number of stitches that are left right now, but I usually try and split it equally between the 3. It does become a little easier once you get to the smaller decreases if you count, because it's a little harder if you have two stitches to stitch together, and one's on one needle and one's on another needle. We'll get to that. So for now, we're just going to split them between the needles. So I am gonna say that looks like about 1/3 of my stitches, and I'm going to move to the next needle. So do the same thing, go into the bottom of my first stitch here, go around. So this first stitch, you want to make sure you pull this yarn fairly tight because it can become loose, and then you get kind of a rib right in between where the needles are, and you don't want that. So make sure you pull that yarn tight right there. you just go. Not too tight, of course. You want to still be able to get your yarn in there to make your stitches. Don't split your yarn either. Okay, I think I overestimated on that first needle a little. So, I'm going to do one more over here, and then I'm going to put the rest on that third needle. Okay, all of my stitches are on my double point needles now. Make sure that last stitch is tight enough so that it's not going to fall off. You notice that maybe it doesn't seem like they are going to stay on, but they do. So that's good. You can now set aside your circular needle. You don't need that. You're going to pick up your double point needle that you just threw on the floor, and because you're going to need that to knit. And you're going to keep going. So now you're on your stitch 3, stitch 2 together. So this is the beginning of your round. You can tell that's where your tail is coming off, right? Way down here at the bottom of your hat. So, and now you just kind of have to remember that. You don't have a marker. So you just have to remember that it's at the beginning of these, it's in between these two needles. So you knit. And remember to pull that first stitch tight. And then we're going to knit 2 together. Knit 2 together. Knit 2 together. Move to the next needle. Okay. Knit 2 together. Somehow I managed not to split up any of my stitches that were going to need to be knit together. Shockingly. Okay, and you knit those last 2 stitches together on this round. There you go, and then you'll do a knit round. Okay, so I've gotten down to the part in the pattern here where I have done the last round on the decrease. So I've knit 1, knit 2 together, and then gone a whole round of knit 2 together, and I've ended up with these last 8 stitches, as you can see here. And what we're gonna do now is we're almost done. We're almost done. Yay! So now what we get to do is, and you can see the part at the bottom of the pattern that tells you this, you're going to get to cut the yarn, and then you thread it onto a needle and pull the remaining thread through these 8 stitches, and then you do the finishing on the hat. Finishing just basically means that you're pulling in all of the little pieces of yarn that are left over. Now I like to cut my yarn just a little bit longer, just so that I have plenty of yarn to work with. So I'm going to cut about probably that long. Maybe, what is that, like a foot? Oop. Okay. And then I'm going to thread my needle. Here we go, and I'm going to try not to hit my camera so the camera doesn't shake. Apologies. So, and we're going to go around. We're going to go around the same way that we go around when we're knitting. So we're going to start, and we're just going to, I think you can see that. I'm just going into all of these stitches. And then as soon as you've got your thread in there, you can take the needle out. Last one. Oh, come on, get in there. There we go. Pull that yarn through. Take the needle out. Okay, and then put my other hand on the inside of the hat there. You can see there's my hand. And I'm going to bring the needle down into the underside of the hat. Kind of pinch this closed so it doesn't come too loose, and turn the hat inside out, which is where we'll be doing the rest of our work. Now you're going to pull this tight. So you can kind of see I've pulled it tight, and now there's no opening at all. There's no opening. And then you're going to tighten your knot. And then you'll weave in the ends. So by weaving in the ends, they mean you're just going to bring your yarn in and kind of bring it under some of the nearby stitches. And this is just so it doesn't go flopping around. You don't want to go too deep. You don't want to go all the way through the hat. So I like to just kind of make a little circle around the top of the hat. Everybody has a different way of doing this. Oops. See, now that one was a little too deep. I think I got 2 pieces of yarn in there. So, and then once you've made your knot and you've woven in your ends, cut off your excess yarn, stretch it out just a little bit, and then you can flip it back out, and there is the top of your hat. Now you still have one more piece of yarn that you need to take care of, and that is your tail, your initial tail from when you cast on. So we're going to do the same thing there. you're going to, now your tail may not be this long. I did a different cast on with this hat so that I could kind of experiment with cast ons. If you were following my recommended cast on for this class, you did a backwards loop cast on, which generally ends up with a shorter tail. When you have a shorter tail, this is where the crochet hook sometimes is a little easier because the tail is sometimes not long enough to put on a needle. But if it's long enough, just go ahead and put it on a needle, and you're going to do basically the same thing. You're going to weave it in and out of some of the nearby stitches. So with a crochet hook, of course, you would just pull the yarn through with the hook. So I'm going to say that's good, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off the rest of this excess, and then stretch it out just a little bit. And there is my hat, all finished up and ready. Pattern lays it out fairly straightforward. So long as you're able to understand the pattern, it's all in there. It's one of the reasons I like this pattern. It's a good beginning pattern. If you have any questions, of course, you're always welcome to email me. I check my email every day. It's ldryer@rcls.org. It should appear right on the screen. So go ahead and email me and ask me your questions. Of course, there are also all the resources that I sent out in part 1. So check those out in case you have other questions. I'm going to try and find some decrease videos that hopefully will go along with this, but I did want to do something that was specific to the pattern that we were working on, so that's why I made this video.